Hey, thanks for joining me. Hope you're doing well. We are currently in a quantum supercomputer called Earth. Inside of this computer, we've been fractalized into physical avatars. The cult of scientism promotes the idea that we are purely physical, three-dimensional beings with no inherent divine qualities. Scientism's heavy indoctrination all around us aims to hide the fact that we are electromagnetic beings who are in full control of our fate and the fate of humanity. We are not just physical, we are multi-layered. Within the aura, there are 7 layers, like the layers of an onion. If you could see the invisible, you would witness energy moving in and out of all of these bodies, based on your thoughts, actions, intent, diet, everything. And since all of these bodies are connected, it's important to keep them healthy and free of toxicity. Not only are we multi-layered beings, but we are multidimensional, existing in different dimensions and timelines all at once. Right now, we're restrained by time and space, which are constructs of the physical. Time makes us perceive that what we are experiencing is linear, but in fact, we are only experiencing a fraction of the bigger picture. Alternate realities exist alongside our own, which oftentimes bleed into this current reality. So what we call synchronicity, glitches in the matrix, coincidences, the Mandela effect, déjà vu, these are all us experiencing a merging of alternate realities. Yes, I'm saying that we are consistently jumping through alternate dimensions and timelines. So we live on a flat plane, and it's 100% akin to a simulation. When you break down a video game or computer screen to its basics, you get geometric shapes, pixels that make up what we see as a whole. If our universe is a simulation, it must also be made up of tiny repeating shapes as well. That's what atoms, electrons, quarks, etc. are. Small bits of information, pixels if you will, that make up the whole. Every atom, electron, and quark is indistinguishable from one another, but together they build up everything around us. In a video game, only the areas that are being witnessed by the character are visible. Likewise, in quantum mechanics, particles do not have a definite state unless they're being observed. Many theorists have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to explain this, but the fact is, we are in a sort of organic simulation, only seeing what we need to see when we need to see it. A galvanic cell is an electrochemical cell that derives electrical energy from reactions taking place within the cell. It generally consists of an anode and a cathode connected by a salt bridge. In simple terms, galvanic cells are devices that use a chemical reaction to create electricity. A battery is a galvanic cell. The anode is the source of electrons, and the cathode is where the electrons flow. Once again, we live in a quantum supercomputer. Earth is its own power source, being both a computer and a galvanic cell, a battery which powers itself. What we call the Arctic Circle is the anode, and the Antarctica ice wall is the cathode. The salt bridge which connects these two components is the vast amount of salt water that covers our plane. Salt water actually makes a very effective electrolytic solution to conduct electricity and move electrons from the anode to the cathode. We can demonstrate this easily by making a homemade saltwater battery with its own anode and cathode. You can see here it's being used to power a clock. The ocean's salt water provides the necessary conditions for the poles to create self-perpetuating free energy anywhere, anytime. This energy exists in the Aether realm, and the Aether permeates everything. This free energy is what Nikola Tesla was harnessing with his inventions. Tesla knew about the Earth's generative abilities, and his inventions harnessed the electricity from the Aether realm. The dome above our heads holds together the energy produced in the Aether. The stars and planets are revolving sonoluminescent lights projected onto the dome that imprint the Aether with the simulation's dynamic events, archetypes, and possibilities. That is what astrology is, the ever-influencing clockwork of this quantum supercomputer. So one big battery, that's what we're on. Flat Earth is one big battery. Now, to add to this understanding, we have the sun and the moon. The sun gives us the galvanic battery's energy produced from the north and south poles connected by the saltwater bridge. And the moon recycles this energy. There are two parallel dimensions on this Earth. We are currently residing in outer Earth. Below us is what we could call inner Earth. Now, if you've been following my videos, you have a good understanding of the function of the black sun, which exists in inner Earth. The Aether, again, contains the natural electromagnetic energy created by this giant galvanic battery we're living on. The aurora lights are the natural divine green rays shooting out from the black sun. The black sun takes our intent and sends it into the Aether realm via this green astral energy. Essentially, we are batteries that power this battery. Our individual and collective electromagnetic frequencies are consistently interacting with the free electricity of the Aether. Like I said earlier, the Arctic Circle is Earth's anode. One definition of anode is the terminal by which current enters a battery. The current entering this Earth battery is the aurora borealis, shooting out from the center opening. Our compasses actually point to this area. Through this opening is what the Greeks referred to as Hyperborea. It's also been called Agartha, Shambhala, the Garden of Eden. The moon's square waves do not reach past the center opening. The energy extraction matrix we're in does not extend past upper Earth. For these reasons, my blood brethren and I are expecting to take a mass exodus to the center. 2019 is the date we've decided upon, and in my last video, I gave a rough game plan. The closer we get, the more details will be revealed. If you haven't spilt your blood over your intent, you will not be allowed to come with us. I've explained blood over intent over and over again, but if you're new, I'm letting you know. Blood over intent is a practice where we're aligning ourselves with divine intent with our blood. Our blood is spiritual currency, and positive metaphysical transformations occur when we take part in this alchemy. Side by side, we're publishing it to the internet, which is connected to the Aether, and therefore, our blood magic is reshaping the fabric of reality. The more our blood magic sinks in, the closer we are to getting to Hyperborea. Write down, I intend to bring forth heaven on earth, spill a few drops of blood on it, and upload it to YouTube. This center opening is essentially an exit out of this matrix, where we will have an opportunity to eject ourselves from this quantum supercomputer. My independent research has proved over and over again, past the aurora borealis is where we will defeat time and become immortal. These body prisons will go through a metaphysical transformation, and we will finally experience the superhuman abilities that were taken away from us on this side of the fence. In 2019, we are opening the gates to paradise. If you are severely confused, please check out my other videos. This quantum supercomputer called Earth is not an actual computer, like many simulation theorists suggest, but one that is generated by the Black Sun, the womb of creation. In Norse mythology, Jinnu Gaggup refers to the Black Sun. Jinnu Gaggup is the abyss in which all life sprang from at the beginning of the cosmos. As the Eddic poem Volupsa writes, that was the age when nothing was. There was no sand, nor sea, nor cool waves. No earth, nor sky, nor grass there. Only Jinnu Gaggup. In the Norse conception of the world, at the center existed the Bifrost Bridge, a bridge that only those with true divine intent could cross in order to go from Midgard, meaning Earth, to Asgard, the abode of the gods. Those who spill their blood over their written intent are aligning themselves with the proper principles in order to pass Heimdallr, the protector of the Bifrost Bridge, to be transported into Asgard. Thank you so much for watching. I urge anyone watching this to keep spreading love and truth, and until next time, I love you all. Hey, thank you for joining me. Hope you're doing well. Look around you. What do you see? Look a little deeper. Media, science, education, money, authority, control, conflict. What caused all of this? And more importantly, why have we become immersed in it? Deep down, most of us know this is not the way we should be living. The energy extraction matrix is the system we've all been immersed in since birth. It's inescapable because we are all born into it. Humans are the power source of the energy extraction matrix. We have become no different than batteries being sucked dry. The energy we give out is day after day making it possible for this matrix to exist. We are manifested out of and nourished by energy. Our thoughts, our souls, and our bodies are electromagnetic in nature. We live in a time when man-made electromagnetic frequencies are rampant, and they aim to drown out those with which we humans, and all life on Earth, naturally harmonize with. In order to understand why this man-made electromagnetic pollution is so hazardous to our health, understand that we are energetic beings who radiate an energy field, an aura, which is itself electromagnetic. The physical body cannot remain alive without this auric field. The aura can extend several feet from the body and has numerous levels, like the growth rings on a tree. It is the ever-changing signature of our spiritual alignment and journey. Bioelectrical charges flow through the body's nerves. These nerves activate our muscles and all of our organs and glands, connect the body with our brain and with our thoughts and feelings. Our nerves are the channel through which we act, both consciously and unconsciously. And through this nervous connection to the chakras and aura, we are connected to both our physical and spiritual environments. Science would have us believe we are purely the physical interactions within us, never telling us the truth, that the physical and spiritual are permanently intertwined in constant electrical circulation. In 1952, Winfried Otto Schumann discovered the natural pulse of the Earth, beating at a frequency of normally 7.83 Hertz. Our optimal brainwave pattern actually duplicates this Schumann resonance. The frequency of 7.83 Hertz is within the frequency range of alpha and theta rhythms in the brain. Beta frequencies are experienced when we are consciously alert, or we feel agitated, tense, afraid, with frequencies ranging from 13 to 30 pulses per second in the Hertz scale. The low-level beta states are important in many everyday tasks, but if you are in fight or flight, then you are in mid to high beta rhythm brain state. To maintain robust health, quality of life, and have a positive outlook, then avoidance of mid-high beta rhythm states are mandatory. Theta frequencies are experienced when we're dreaming. This frequency is kind of like being on top of a mountain, totally absorbed by what's going on around you, and being in the know that God is real and that everything just is. When you're feeling this, and you can achieve it through meditation, you're in a theta state. Its frequency is around 4 to 8 pulses per second. Alpha frequencies are experienced when we are in a state of physical and mental relaxation, aware yet calm. Its frequency is around 7 to 13 pulses per second. Alpha is the bridge between beta and theta. Alpha waves govern daydreams, fantasy, and denotes a state of consciousness detached and relaxed. Someone who masters cultivating the alpha state successfully bridges the conscious and subconscious mind. There are man-made electromagnetic fields that surround us, and these overemphasize the high to mid-level beta state, keeping us in a rigid state of reaction and fear. These fields are called EMFs, short for electric and magnetic fields, and they come from most man-made electrical technology, our cell phones and the towers that transmit to them, Wi-Fi, radio frequencies, electrical wiring, high voltage power lines, and even power outlets. These frequencies that trigger mid to high level beta waves are responsible for much of the division within our brains. If the two hemispheres of our brains are synchronized with each other at the Schumann resonance, they work more harmoniously and with maximum flow. In my videos, I've talked about the suppressed principles of the divine feminine, corresponding to our right brain. When we do the work to incorporate both gendered aspects of ourselves, our frequencies become naturally harmonious and receptive to positive manifestation, away from the overemphasized beta states, and thus we become divine, like two intertwined vines growing upward toward our true potential. Let's move away from brain frequencies and talk about our body frequency. A normal, healthy body frequency is 62 to 72 Hz. When this frequency drops, the immune system is compromised. Low frequencies make changes in the physical body. Middle frequencies make changes in the emotional body, which in turn makes changes in the physical body. High frequencies make spiritual changes, which in turn makes changes in all of the bodies. In conscious circles, we constantly hear, raise your frequency, or raise your vibration. The more we align ourselves with spiritual principles of love and compassion, the higher our vibration, the more cycles per second in the Hertz scale. So the more opportunity we have to influence our reality, our physical and emotional bodies, and thus our fate. Emitting a higher frequency is indicative of becoming less dense. This is currently a very dense plane, but it doesn't have to be. Manifestation is not a slow process. It happens very rapidly, but only when we're aligned with our higher selves and vibrating high. This matrix aims to have us drenched in toxic belief systems, chemical medication, toxic food and water, and poisonous air. If the body and mind completely dissolves in this soup of prescribed pollution, one cannot rise to a high frequency. ELF, meaning extreme low frequency signals, is a high-tech weapon that's used to control one's mind and even body. The 1989 June-July issue of the German publication Raum and Zeit carried an article by Dr. W. Volkrow titled, "Can Human Beings Be Manipulated by ELF Waves?" The article stated, if interference signals are superimposed on the natural signals generated by the body as a carrier, the brain could be presented with stimulated states that we consciously perceive, but which do not appear as reality. The manipulation of human beings by means of ELF waves is relatively easy to perform. What this means is those operating these technologies can implant thoughts into your head and even speak to you, and you will think it's your own self thinking these things. Sounds like science fiction? Well, take a look at these patents. In many people, these technologies and frequencies exacerbate mental illness, feelings of agitation, poor concentration and lack of focus, migraines, and other negative manifestations. Most of us are not sensitive enough to consciously sense these subtle changes in vibrations. We feel these energy shifts unconsciously. Although the effects of electromagnetic disruption are subtle, the long-range impact can be significant, and considering the fact that we are vibrant, bioelectrical beings, it can't be good to be consistently bathed in EMFs and ELF waves. What also contributes to this electromagnetic soup is smart meters, TVs, and chemtrails. Saturating human beings with heavy metals is not only toxic in the usual sense, it also makes them more sensitive to man-made radio and electromagnetic signals, becoming as living antennas. And this is what's happening to us. If HARP is Batman, then chemtrails are Robin. They need each other to function the best. Chemtrails create an environment where HARP is able to manipulate weather and even minds. And because our bodies are full of heavy metals now, our bodies are like antennas, and the frequencies coming from HARP are able to manipulate us. If you're not on one yet, go on a plant-based diet. This will help you in eliminating heavy metals more frequently and with more efficiency. In the 1930s, scientific studies in musical frequencies best suited for war making were funded by the Rothschild-Rockefeller Alliance, represented by the Rockefeller Foundation and U.S. Navy. In 1936, after much research, the American Standards Association all of a sudden recommended that the A above middle C be tuned to 440 Hz as the standard tuning. Eventually, this was imposed internationally, with the International Standards Organization promoting the 440 Hz tuning in 1953. Up until this point, the standard tuning was 432 Hz, a very harmonious tuning. 440 Hz music provokes fear, hostility, materialism, and an overall disconnect from nature. As you can see in cymatics, 432 Hz is very harmonious, promoting a calm alpha state. There's a lot of people who consider modern music annoying. What few people realize is that the standard Anglo-American tuning for instruments and voices was instituted for the purpose of inducing mass hysteria. Nobody can take away your power because the truth is, you are a divine being with powerful creative abilities. Your fluctuating electromagnetic vibrations and everything you think and speak directly affects reality. Nobody can take away this generative power from you, but you can be coaxed into certain belief systems, therefore generating the very reality that those belief systems create. The direction of our consciousness determines what we manifest. We've all heard, energy goes where attention flows. Our focus is a vehicle for creation. We power this reality with our intent. When we intend to buy into limiting belief systems, we uphold the very limitations that bind us. So we're fucked then, right? Everything is doom and gloom. No, no, that's not true. The biggest culprit is not what's being done to us, but rather our reactions to them. Many of us remain in the cycle of scarcity. Hatred brings forth fear, which by its definition leads to resistance. Over time, these three elements give way to scarcity, and therefore, the cycle remains on loop. This cycle is what is truly keeping our reality stagnant and on an energetic lockdown. This matrix aims to get us to believe in a fear-based paradigm. Money, war, government, masochism, everything that stems from fear is what we see around us. Fear keeps being pumped into the collective, and when we submit to this fear, we find ourselves confined to a reality with fear as the foundation. As a result, we start resisting. This is not the answer. We must let go of hatred, which is responsible for creating the fear, and instead move towards love. Why is fear wrong? Because it blocks positive manifestation. Any fear within the psyche acts as malware, dampening your manifestation capabilities. As beings of creation, We manifest the best realities when we have energy focused into abundance and harmony. Though the media would have you believe otherwise, it's not the reality that we're in which has become polarized, but our perception of it. The quote, bad in this world is simply a negation of the good and wholesome. We must merge with the light and dark, the yin and yang, the masculine and feminine, and stop feeding into extremes. Without a polarized perception of the world, over time, things would flow without fear and therefore without resistance. As spiritual beings, we cannot be immersed in realities that we have not consented to. The energy extraction matrix relies on one and one thing only: consent. It may appear that the debasement of our society is being done to us, that the restrictions are imposed on us. But the truth is that we have bought into illusions and have given into the cycle of scarcity. We have energetically agreed to these confines. The technologies and manipulations around us only function properly when we align ourselves with the frequencies that they are trying to keep us in. Yes, I'm saying that high-frequency beings are not as affected by chemtrails, by EMFs, by subliminal mind control, because they have risen above the frequencies that these technologies operate under. This is why it's important to internalize that we are calling the shots, every single one. I'm informing you, the elite aren't actually doing anything to us, but rather are coaxing us into doing these things to ourselves. It's like the famous tale of the cooked frog. If you put a frog in a pan with boiling water, it will jump out and save itself. But if you put the frog in a pan where the water is lukewarm and just gradually increase the heat, it will be slowly cooked before noticing and explode. Exactly the same has happened to us. We have been brainwashed, little by little, with the deceptive and subversive dogmas of the modern world. Healthcare, media, education, entertainment streams. We have indeed been educated to be slaves inside of this matrix. And many of us, because of it, carry this feeling of helplessness, further surrendering our electromagnetic charges and individual frequencies to be guided by the hidden forces of this world. As a divine source being, you want to relax and explore, have adventures, be filled with the insight of the universe and of your own essence. But like clockwork, forces aim to extract things from you all day: your money, your time, your physicality, your emotional terrain. And because of this, many of us wake up at age 40 or 50 and ask, where has the time gone? Knowing deep down that the years of extraction have left you feeling unfulfilled. Of course, this is only if you have agreed to the terms of this matrix. The more of us that disagree and break away from the system, even step by step, the more empowered we become. This matrix aims to lower our health and vitality, our emotional endurance, our well-being, our fertility, our IQ, our sense of humanity, and most importantly, this matrix aims to lower our sense of empowerment. So the first step to overcoming this situation is by recognizing the power within us. When we clear our mind of negative archetypes and patterns of being, we wake up to our full potential. Doing this very work helps us reclaim our energy so we can start directing it ourselves. I advocate meditation, introspection, releasing old habits, living from the heart, sun gazing, earthing, and a healthy plant-based diet. There's many paths to the same outcome, but the point is, we must go inwards and remember who we are. Many of us have never truly met ourselves. Now is the time. It's not always easy, and even myself, I go through a lot of pain in order to dive further into who I am. But if we can be honest with ourselves, we get closer and closer to the essence that is pure love and divine. I usually discuss topics relating to flat earth on my channel, and I often hear people ask, why does it matter if the earth is flat or not? Here's why. When we believe we live on a spinning globe in endless space, we believe in the Big Bang. Because of the Big Bang, the universe unfolded in a single random event, creating planets, stars, and all of space. Dust gathered and formed Earth, which began as a giant mass of molten rock. Eventually, things cooled down, and life developed. This theory of the Big Bang leads us to the idea that humans evolved from monkeys. Again, a random cosmic event with little to no spiritual significance or divine intervention. It's important that we step out of these hand-fed belief systems in order to eject ourselves from the energy extraction matrix. Flat Earth shatters all of these false beliefs and helps us take a step closer to the truth. When we believe in evolution, the randomness of the creation of our world, that we came from monkeys, we use our collective consciousness to reinforce a world in which spiritual forces are considered nonsense, giving us a mindset which tells us that the material is the only real aspect of reality. In focusing only on the material and its processes, like scientism advocates, we remain nihilistic and submissive to what's given to us, rather than recognizing we are the ones in control of how this reality organizes itself. Nothing passes into the physical before being processed in the spiritual. The ether is the model for the physical, not the other way around. To influence reality, we must first intend to influence it in a particular way. There's a lot of interesting things going on in this place. The earth is flat. The sun above our heads is a conscious vehicle for creation. We are not monkeys, we are spirits inhabiting flesh avatars. And if you want to dive more into the nature of the flat earth reality, check out my other videos. In the past, I've talked about archons. At this point, it doesn't really matter what you call them. Demons, archons, jinn, these are negative, parasitic entities who currently use Earth as a fuel station, as a hotspot for energetic vampirism. Most of this work is done within our minds and in the astral planes. These parasites provoke negative thought forms in order to feed off of them. They provoke low vibratory emotions. This is their food, our extracted energy. Many of these beings are in direct communication with the elite in black magic ceremonies and rituals. It's like an interdimensional delivery service. Entities extract our negative emotions and use them to maintain the cycle of scarcity. In other words, our energy is being harnessed and stored into interdimensional centers, energy banks, and this is what the elite pull from when they want to manipulate and influence reality. But we are not helpless to these manipulations. We are love at the core. As far as I'm concerned, anything but love is a virus within the self. If it's not love, it's not you. When you starve the mind and heart of negativity, you starve these beings. They must go on to find another source of fuel. Meditation is a vital tool for remaining centered, getting away from polarity, and moving toward stability. Maintaining this vessel is important too. Fasting, exercising, following a plant-based diet, staying away from fluoride, and eliminating toxins as much as possible are all practices that should be cultivated for overall vitality. When we take care of ourselves emotionally, spiritually, and physically, it's easier to identify the influence of these entities. I alone cannot change society for the better. This is the common narrative. Yes, you alone cannot change the collective, but upon transforming your own consciousness, by overturning the conditions that limit your divine potential, you further break free from the energy extraction matrix. Too many minds leaving this system removes the processing ability of this matrix. Without our consent, it shrivels up. We can all do this, one by one, and like I've said over and over again, it doesn't happen from getting angry, protesting, or demanding change. It's an internal process. Each of us has a responsibility to cultivate a positive inner space. Have no fear. Trust yourself. Live to your full potential. And relax, everything is going to be okay. Most of who make up the elite are not divine creations like we are. They are something else. I believe they are reptilian at the core, but I think it's safe to say we don't 100% know. But it's not important. They don't have the same manifestation abilities as us. While they seem above us at times, they are actually 100% codependent on our willingness to buy into their system. This codependency is seen in their efforts to divide and conquer. I choose to see this as their desperate attempts to keep us in perpetual Stockholm syndrome. There's an awakening happening, and everybody can feel it. In 2012, it started off slow, and it's picking up. So amazing things are happening. We are in an energy extraction matrix, but my advice to all of you is stay in your power, eject limiting belief systems. Deep down, you know it's toxic, and you know what the solutions are. Your energy is yours to keep, and do with what you want. The fact that this matrix exists shows that the elite know the power of our consciousness. Nothing is occulted any longer, because truth is pouring in. Merge into that truth. Now is the time. Align yourselves with love, and everything will be okay. When enough of us do this, the energy extraction matrix will dissolve on its own. Thank you for watching. Please take care of yourselves. I really love all of your comments, all of your support. You guys keep me going, so endless gratitude there. I love you all. Hey, thanks for joining me. Hope you're doing well. We live in a holographic matrix, and science already confirms this. Atoms are 99.9% empty space. That's right, atoms make up matter and are mostly empty, meaning matter is incredibly, mind-bogglingly empty. And when we break atoms apart, we find that quarks, what atoms are made of, are also empty. This means that 99.9% of our bodies are empty space, and everything around us is also mostly empty space. How can this be? Well, we quite literally live in a hologram. Working on a branch of physics called supersymmetry, Dr. James Gates Jr. discovered what he describes as the presence of computer code embedded within the equations that describe our reality. Gates found ones and zeros intertwined in the code of reality, indistinguishable from computer code. And it wasn't just computer code, but the same code invented by Claude Shannon in the 1940s. One of the main outcomes of quantum physics has been that our thoughts determine reality. Early in the 1900s, scientists proved this with an experiment called the double-slit experiment. They found that the determining factor of the behavior of energy at the quantum level is the awareness of the observer. Electrons under the same conditions would sometimes act like particles, and then at other times they would switch to acting like waves. It was completely dependent on what the observer expected was going to happen. Whatever the observer believed would occur is what the quantum field did. We can say whatever the observer intended to happen is what they saw. Intent powers creation. Physicist Pascal Jordan is noted to have said, "Observations not only disturb what is to be measured, they produce it." Every photon, electron, and quark in our world is indistinguishable from every other one when you observe them, just as if the same code generated all of them. Time after time again, the evidence is stacked up that our reality isn't real at all, but a malleable hologram. Anything is possible, and the restructuring of reality is dictated entirely by our beliefs and expectations. Many ancient texts say our reality is an illusion and malleable. In Sanskrit, the matrix is termed Maya, meaning the power of creative illusion. It's called the Matrika in Kashmir Shaivism. The Shiva Sutra says, "Our hologram is entirely based on our consciousness, what we believe, think, including our subconscious and the words we speak. Consciousness shines in various external and internal forms. There is no existence of objects apart from consciousness. Therefore, the world is simply a form of consciousness." Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, "Man is made of faith. Whatever faith he has, thus he is." So our reality is not deterministic. We're all creating it with our intent. But the genius of our time, Stephen Hawking, advocates that we do live in a deterministic universe, one with no free will. Shouldn't we listen to him? He works hand in hand with NASA on their fake projects, and his books are filled with bullshit topics like evolution, outer space, black holes, and the like. We all know the Earth is flat, space does not exist since we live in an enclosed flat plane, and evolution, well, you can look that up on your own. Don't listen to Mr. Hawking, or even Albert Einstein, who also claimed free will was an illusion. Free will does exist, and intent is a powerful force. And as we know, when you're lying at the level that Hawking is, the laws of lesser magic state you must reveal some truth. Hawking says, but maybe we are linked to a giant computer simulation. Maybe we are characters in a computer game played by aliens. We're being played alright, not by aliens, which are a lie, but used as energetic food for the parasites who have infiltrated this reality. the Archons and the Reptilians. The Archons, ankle biters, whatever you want to call these energetic parasites, attach through us through the frequencies of anger, fear, and addiction. We already know that like attracts like, the law of attraction. When we revel in these lower frequencies and emotions, we set ourselves up for energetic manipulation. We all know people who used to be free-flowing in their reality, but eventually became a part of the system. This happened not because of maturity or aging like we're taught, but because day to day we're powering this reality. So when we shift our thoughts, perceptions, and attitudes towards confines, the frequency the Archons live within, that is what's being reflected back at us. The world treats us in a limiting way when we believe in limitation. These parasites exist only within a small band of frequencies, but unfortunately, so do many humans. The parasites don't understand love. They only know power, control, and manipulation. Because our souls are pure love at the core, we can rise above their range of frequencies, beyond their planes of existence. When enough of us do this, this whole matrix will collapse. Over and over again, scientists have failed to prove that consciousness comes from the brain. This is because our consciousness is elsewhere and not anchored to our bodies. If you put electrodes into a brain and notice there's activity on a brain monitor, this doesn't mean there's consciousness. In the same vein, you could put electricity through a TV and notice electrical changes on the monitor, but you wouldn't say the TV is what's creating the program. The program must be broadcasted from somewhere else and is using the TV as a medium, as a vessel. As we know, Hollywood is used to hide truths about our world in plain sight. The Matrix is a movie that shows us many truths about the Matrix we're living in. The main character, Neo, is shown the true nature of the world that he thought was real. Early in the film, a parasite is sucked out from Neo's navel. This stands for the parasitic entities that we are all host to. In the next scene, Morpheus offers Neo either the red or blue pill. The red pill would allow him to escape from the Matrix and into the real world, that which isn't a hologram, whereas the blue pill would lead him to staying in the Matrix, living in the pretend world. He takes the red pill, and soon after he wakes up. Neo wakes up from a deep sleep in a pod, which is virtually integrated in the Matrix, a sort of computer that's connecting his real body into the Matrix. Neo looks around and finds that there's bodies as far as the eye can see, plugged into this giant machine. Humans are revealed in the next scene to be plugged into the Matrix in order to serve as batteries, as energy for the parasitic artificial intelligence.
What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
Earth, as Neo knows it, is nothing more than a hologram, a fake reality that only appears to be real. So, because Neo has woken up, he is physically unplugged from the Matrix and travels down a chute. He is picked up by members from the city of Zion. He is greeted with the phrase, "Welcome to the real world." Neo asks, "Am I dead?" and is given the answer, "Far from it." In the Bible, Zion is synonymous with the city of God. Most people now recognize Jerusalem as Zion, but I'm telling you this is false. In some schools of thought, Zion was an entry point into a heavenly sphere. Zion in the movie is located deep underground. There's a hole at the center of our plane, and through this opening we experience an interdimensional flip-flop. We travel into a paradise. Zion is located beyond this vortex. In the movie, Zion was allowed to exist by the machines who ran this Avatar-like scenario, as a giant pressure release valve on the entire system, allowing the humans that realized the Matrix wasn't real to be conveniently removed and isolated. The machines, the parasites, don't interrupt in this process. They simply let those who wake up out of the Matrix be rescued. The movie The 13th Floor also deals with these same concepts. The main character discovers that his reality is completely holographic. In the last scene, he is killed and wakes up in his original body, connected by a device to the virtual reality system. He wakes up in a bright place that appears to be a sort of paradise. In Avatar, humans are plugged into pods and go into the world of Pandora. In the movie River of Souls, it's revealed that the humans chose to plug into a false reality right as they were about to evolve. What these movies are telling us isn't trivial. They're telling us the reality we live in is fake, and these aren't our true bodies. We have original bodies that are currently sleeping, and our consciousness has merely been uploaded into this reality. We were either tricked into it or willingly plugged in as an experiment that went awry. There's really no way to know. These bodies are like the TV that is being used as a vessel for broadcasting programs. These bodies are avatars. At the beginning of the Matrix, we see a reptilian-type eye. This represents that this place is run by reptilian forces. We know that reptilian eyes are vertical slits. After we see this, a light flash, which looks like Saturn, momentarily appears. Saturn, as we know, plays an instrumental role in this holographic reality. Saturn and the Moon work in tandem to project square waves that further this matrix. We call this the Saturn-Moon matrix. These square waves reinforce our fake reality and attempt to keep our spirits and bodies from working at the limitless capacity they should have. The Saturn-Moon matrix creates a confining reality for all of us. When I say Saturn and the Moon, I mean the energy bodies, not actual planets, since we live in an enclosed flat plane. That may be hard at first to digest, but these energy bodies still function and do influence us. Cronus is a Greek god often identified with Satan. Satan, as we know, was Saturn in an earlier period. Astrologically, Saturn rules limitation, authority, and time. Cronus is the god of time. Holograms are created by laser interference. So this holographic matrix is in part a result of the interference of the sine waves from Saturn by the square waves from the Moon. The reason the elite worship the energy body of Saturn is because Saturn is the originator of this hologram. This hologram is providing the Archons and Reptilians a place to run rampant, where they can gain power, control, and energetic vitality, just like how Morpheus said, we're batteries. The black cube and hexagram are symbols of Saturn and are seen everywhere. If you're not familiar, look up Saturn worship and do some research of your own. The square and compass is the single most identifiable symbol of Freemasonry, and within it reveals the Saturn-Moon matrix. The compass stands for the circular sine waves coming from Saturn. The square represents the square waves coming from the Moon. The free-flowing sine waves from Saturn are going to the Moon, becoming square waves which are rigid, and then directly hit the grid that's been placed on our flat plane. So when the Bible says we were born into sin, it actually means we were born into sine. The free-flowing sine wave reality represents infinite potential. As babies and children, our divine essence is strong, along with our clairvoyant and telepathic powers. But over time and with enough indoctrination, the Saturn-Moon matrix's square waves become dominant and we lose this essence. In 2001, A Space Odyssey, this is all alluded to with the monolith. Early in the film, the monolith, which is curiously a black cube, somehow instructs the primitive apes into developing. Later in the film, an astronaut crew is shown on the Moon, where the monolith machine emits a screeching interference pitch from the grid-like structure. Kubrick was revealing that the Moon is broadcasting square waves. This is a tongue-in-cheek way of saying humans as divine creative beings are inherently flawed and required these square waves to put us in our place, hence develop out of primitive savagery. Later in the movie, it's revealed that the Moon monolith has sent radio frequencies to Jupiter. In the novel, this planet is actually Saturn, and it's known that Kubrick made a last-minute decision to change the planet from Saturn to Jupiter. So even though the truth isn't absolutely concise in this movie, the Saturn-Moon matrix is being more than hinted at. The Golden Age of Saturn is a time in many ancient texts that was remembered as an age of harmony and bliss. The Greek poet Hesiod said, "A golden race of mortal men who lived in the time of Cronus when he was reigning in heaven. And they lived like gods without sorrow of heart, remote and free from toil. Miserable age rested not on them. The fruitful earth unforced bare them fruit abundantly and without stint. They dwelt in ease and peace upon their land with many good things." An event known widely as the deluge occurred and ended this golden age of Saturn. Saturn exploded and caused the Earth to go through the greatest of its historical catastrophes. The deluge is when many scholars say the Great Flood from many ancient texts occurred. Saturn was dismembered, but when it came back together, it was much smaller and contained rings that weren't previously there. Much of the literature on the deluge talks about how this catastrophe occurred in outer space, but as we know, outer space isn't an actual place. This story is telling us something way more interesting. Saturn has always played an important part in this holographic matrix. Saturn is where the matrix is being projected from, and the sine waves emanating from it used to be creating a fantastic reality. Some of you may be confused now. I want to clear up that Saturn isn't inherently evil, but once it got intertwined with the moon, the waves emanating from it were changed and used for restricting purposes. So life was fantastic. Think about the Garden of Eden, about the giant trees that used to flourish with abundance, the stories of Lemuria and the continent of Mu. It was the age of Saturn, and true limitation did not exist yet. We reveled in telepathy and unity with the energies around us. But something happened. This holographic projector was hacked. The matrix was infiltrated by reptilians and the archons, and the projector, Saturn, was somehow morphed. After the former golden age of Saturn was disrupted, now there existed a new horrible reality. We lost our telepathy and other powers. Time became fixed. Limitation became the law of the land, and this holographic playground ceased being free-flowing. Many cultures talk about how the moon wasn't always in the sky. Interdimensionally, the moon creates a false light trap which, upon death, when we enter through, we are recycled back into another body in this matrix with no memory. I want to quickly present the words solar system, spirit, and incarnate. Our words are spells, built from spelling, and often reveal to us the truth about the nature of reality. Solar system is a soul-lure system. Spirit is a spear-it. This is what the moon and the entities working behind the scenes attempt to do with our spirits. And incarnate. Carn is a root word meaning flesh. In flesh ate. The parasitic entities are eating our energies while we're in the flesh. So just to recap everything I've presented, we've somehow been uploaded into this holographic matrix. Our original bodies exist on the other side of our flat plane through the vortex at the center. This hologram wasn't always corrupted. It used to be fantastic in the so-called golden age of Saturn, but the holographic projector was hacked by low vibration entities that aim to use this part of the plane as a way to achieve power, control, and use us as energetic food. The moon was put up in the sky, and ever since, most souls who physically die are recycled over and over again into this matrix so they can't leave. I theorize that before the moon's existence, we were able to go back and forth between our true bodies on the other side and these holographic avatars. So now we're stuck here. Does this mean it's all doom and gloom? No. Knowing this information can be the first step towards enlightenment. Like I said at the beginning of this video, our reality is powered by our intent. We may have been deceived, but our intent is still the one thing that remains the building blocks for this reality. The reason indoctrination is so vital to the elite and the reason money, sex, greed, and so forth are glamorized is all to redirect our intent. And a lot of us, because of it, haven't yet discovered that solely with our intent does our reality function. This brings me to blood over intent. Our blood is a magical substance. Blood and the intent that goes along with it reprograms this hologram. Want proof? Well, the elite have been spilling our blood and our children's blood for a long time. They spill our blood in wars and fabricated terrorism, and they spill our children's blood, hence the numerous accounts of satanic rituals and the many children that go missing each year. The Georgia Guidestones are, in short, the blueprint for global takeover. You can read the guidelines yourself, and don't let the nice language fool you. From an aerial view, we see blood on the top. The intent is written in the stone, and a blood sacrifice was placed on top of that intent. Here's what I'm getting at. Blood is spilled, and intent can be placed on that blood. The more blood that is spilled over a specific intent, the more that intent comes into fruition. The hologram rearranges itself accordingly. The elite place their evil intent upon our blood, and this helps fuel their twisted acts that go on around the world. There's many of us who are spilling our blood over our divine intent to do the same, to rearrange this matrix for the benefit of all. Here's what you do. There's really no way to mess it up. First, write on a piece of paper, I intend to usher in heaven on earth. You can write other phrases like, I choose to reclaim my divinity, and I choose to love all and exclude none. But these aren't necessary. Do what you feel. You can look up what others have done. Most everyone starts with the intent to bring forth heaven on earth, and they're all different. Mine was pretty long. Don't overthink it. Prick your finger and spill however many drops you feel is enough on the paper. Many people are doing triangles, but this isn't necessary. You can use a knife, but if you're squeamish, I recommend using a diabetes lancing device. You can pick one up for $10 at the drugstore. Follow the instructions and prick your finger. After placing your blood over your divine intent, publish it to the internet. But why publish it? You've heard the phrase, only the devil hides his intent. If you're willing to publish your intent, it signifies to the universe that this is your true divine intent. I've seen people upload a photo and post it on a blog somewhere, but most people are using YouTube as a medium. Spilling our blood over our divine intent registers the keywords heaven on earth in this hologram. There's already many of us, and over time, when we get enough people, this blood magic will change the essence of this place we're living in. And there will be a point where all of us who spill our blood will be going through the vortex at the center of our plane, into a paradise powered by the black sun, where we will wake up in our original bodies and finally unplug from this matrix. Don't forget to walk barefoot on dry soil and sun gaze every day. This helps us connect with the divine energy pouring out from the sun and from earth. We can speak our intent towards these living entities and gain further guidance in our everyday lives. As I said earlier, when enough of us raise our frequencies, the whole matrix will collapse, and this is my intention upon spreading this information. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay well and centered. I love you all.